The F4 is gestures and body language. Means you have to describe things with your hands and your body, and just to emphasise what the wording is. So it started off with a good opening. The subject was a thought experiment. It was a good opening. It was explained about theoretical and hypothetical experiment was the subject matter. So we were all keyed up for what it was going to be about. And he used a lot of gestures. He started off, he was in charge of, he was actually stationed in a signal box. So we all knew what a signal box was, but he explained what a signal box was. And he had a large lever, shows how to pull the lever, and rail tracks in all directions. So he was making a point of using these gestures right from the beginning. So we could see that he was actually using his hands to explain the theoretical and hypothetical things he was talking about. So he's in this station box. He comes over the points. There's 5 of them, but he said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, exaggerating the gestures. And the workers in the bright sunlight. And he put his hand down. So he did a lot of gestures right at the beginning. So we understood he was actually doing his best to gesticulate to get his point across. When he wasn't doing them, he had his hands ready for the next gesture, such as put on the headphones. His hands are already there, and he did something. So he was already ready with the hands. He also had body language: stand back and let people die. Fine. I was glad when he moved back to the middle again. But there weren't that many body gestures. There might have been, but I didn't notice that there was loads of hand gestures. That one I particularly noticed, stand back and let people die. It was quite potent, that made people think, because we discussed it afterwards, that sort of concept. Had a clear voice, and it kept the same pace most of the way through. It was always clear, you could understand it, pitch, pause and pace. Didn't shout too much or go quiet. It was much the same sort of tone, but it was very clear and articulate. And so maybe the next time you could do a bit softer or a bit louder, just like you did with the gestures, you could do it with your voice, just to make a bit more emphasis when you're doing the voice one, which is in fact the next assignment, use your voice. And the only learning point, we have to have a learning point in all this, the only one I thought really was when you were looking at the audience, like I know, there was eye contact, looking at everybody. But when you weren't doing that, you were doing what I'm doing now, looking at your notes, and you had to do that. I have to talk now looking at the notes, otherwise I won't know what I'm talking about. When you're doing a speech, you can sometimes remember it, rehearse it, so you don't need to look at the notes so often. You glance down at them. So that's just a learning point, which you learn after doing those of these things. But in between there was good eye contact. And I shouldn't say you, I should say the speaker. The speaker had good eye contact. The speaker conveyed his personality through the speech. And basically that was it. He spoke about at the end, he had so many seconds to make a decision, and that was what the experiment was all about. We all really understood it, and it was interesting. I found it very interesting. At a good conclusion, he made that decision to pull that lever or not. It all came down to that at the end of the speech. We pull it or not. And looking at other people, they're all thinking, And at the end, it actually provoked a discussion on that. Several people actually said, well, I know something like that. So it was a really good subject for a speech. And the time was 5:39, and he said 5:45. The guy was better than 6 seconds. Perfect. And the next one is the F5, which the speaker will be doing next, using your voice. So good luck with the next assignment of using your voice.